How much of an impact do you think? I mean, we're just beginning to see, I suppose, the seedlings of the impact. But the VW scandal in terms of shaking up the sales landscape.
Right, that's absolutely correct. These figures that we're seeing, the January through September figures, capture less than 2 weeks of the fallout from this emissions scandal. So you really are only just starting to see the beginnings of any backlash from consumers, if you saw any at all, in those last few days of the month of September. It's just going to make it all the more difficult for Volkswagen to come back in the fourth quarter of this year.
And we know the emissions scandal is going to weigh on Volkswagen going forward, but does Toyota have, I suppose, in store a way to fend off VW?
Right. So you have Volkswagen having its own issues, obviously going through the last 3 months of the year. They have a stop sale in many markets of the diesel models that are involved in this emissions cheating. But Toyota has sort of an ace in the hole of its own with the new Prius hybrid coming out by the end of this year. It's still kind of to be determined whether or not it will have a significant impact because sales will initially be just here in Japan, but that's a significant model for the company. They sell an awful lot of Priuses in the U.S. as well. It's still kind of to be determined just how much of an impact it will have, and certainly it will weigh in on the first quarter results going into 2016.
Look, China is going to be a battleground. It's a battleground for all of the major automakers, and we're going to hear from Peugeot a little bit later on. But what, if any, tactical advantage does VW have in terms of its position in China relative to Toyota?
Well, right. So Volkswagen is still substantially bigger than Toyota in the China market, and the very early indications of the sort of fallout on the industry for a sales tax decrease for smaller engines in the China market suggests that the market it may get a little bit of a boost from that relief from the government. So it'll be interesting to see whether or not that has enough of a sort of boost for Volkswagen to help carry it through the end of the year. Because Volkswagen, after all, may not be all that impacted in the China market. They don't sell diesels there, and it will really be a test of just how close Volkswagen and the government in China is, and to what extent their feet aren't really held to the fire there, because after all, those engines aren't, in China very prevalent.